back to the show. This is episode 120 of Green Bean's Jets Pod, and I am happy that you are here. It's the off season for real now, baby. We've been talking about the off season, and it has been, but now it's the off season. We're going to get into all that stuff. The end of OTAs, the awareness of the reality that we won't even get to see a mandatory camp this year. What does it all mean? We're going to start training camp early, all kinds of fun, nuanced wrinkles to this 2023 offseason. Do we have the team that we think we do? Do we have the team that we hope we do? Is what Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh did this offseason enough to break this barrier that we have of being respectable, a winning organization? Can we do it? We're going to talk about all that. We have Zach Wilson stuff, Will McDonald stuff, Carl Lawson stuff, Garrett Wilson, and why not? A little bit of Aaron Rodgers. We'll get into all that in this episode. Again, thank you for coming around, hanging out during the offseason. Right, man? We got to stay together. We don't want to come back in the season with, sleep in our eyes, being like, wait, oh yeah, I remember that guy. No, we want to hang out throughout it, keep our heads above water, and, bounce our fears and concerns off of one another. It's great to do, and that's what we'll do here. Guys, before we get going, I do want to remind you of those milk thumbs. Hit that thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. It means the world. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It's just a little tiny click right next to the milk thumbs, and it makes the world a better place. It does. I also like to remind you of the sponsor of Green Bean's Jets Pod, episode 120, and that is the well-known Manscaped below-the-waist men's grooming, the finest in the products that we need to keep ourselves, a little bit less caveman-y. Manscaped is the place to go, but they've gone from below the waist straight up to the face with their brand new Beard Hedger Pro. Guys, I have it. I love it. I love the oils. I love the beard balm. I love the comb. I love the brush. I love the whole thing. And you will too. They have everything that you need for men's grooming, and you can save 20% by using the promo code GreenBean on their website. I put the link right in the description of the video. It's also in the description of the audio podcast as well. For you guys out there on the audio side of things, thank you, too, for hanging out with us. And you can do a little review if you'd like. You don't have that like button. You don't have the subscribe thing, but you do have the review, and you can share it with people and all that kind of stuff out there. And that is greatly appreciated. But guys, save yourself 20%. Get some real products. Don't go to Walgreens and buy the bargain bin stuff. Go right to the source. Get the Manscaped products. Save 20%. And oh, by the way, they'll throw in free international shipping when you throw that promo code GreenBean into the little promo box at checkout. And you're going to be happy watching 20% of your entire bill. Poof. Goodbye. Where do you want us to send it? It's on us. That's what they're going to do. Manscaped.com. And thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring JetsPod 120. Now, it being 120, we got a fun guy to talk about today. Last couple weeks, we've been talking about some, bottom end of the roster guys we might not know all about. Well, we all know about this guy. We know about him because last draft, not this last draft, the previous, the 2022 draft, a lot of Jets fans, as we inched closer to it, we started to have a sneaking suspicion. Maybe, just maybe, the Jets might pull the trigger on a running back if this year's top running back happens to be there at the top of the second round, where at the time the Jets had 2 top 10 second round picks. We were all thinking maybe, just maybe, they do it. A lot of Jets fans thought it was a pipe dream.
With the 36th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Breece Hall, running back.
Holy
shit! No way!
Oh, God! They ended up not only taking him, but trading up to get him, and that is none other than Breece Hall, the running back extraordinaire that was really on pace to at least make a vie for the rookie of the year on the offensive side of the ball. We ended up winning it anyway with Garrett Wilson, but Breece Hall was looking like he was shot out of a cannon earlier in the season. He ended up playing 7 games for us last year. He missed the final 10 with that terrible knee injury that he got in Denver, the same game that we lost AVT. Now, this year, we are really counting on Breece Hall. The idea that we're going to be great, Breece Hall needs to be included in that in order for that to happen. Sure, we have guys like Michael Carter, who I just absolutely love. I like Bam Knight. I like Izzy that we brought on. Lots of talent, lots of guys. Even that end of it, without Breece Hall, is significantly better than the running back stables that we've trotted out into the season the last few years before Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh got here. But Breece Hall's really the one that can push us over the top. Last year, like I said, he ended up playing 7 games, and he mustered up 80 carries for, 463 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, that's a pace of 1,125 yards for the season if he stayed healthy for all 17 games. In addition, he would have had about 9 touchdowns. He has a 5.8 yard average when he's carrying the ball. He also hauled in 19 receptions for about 220 yards and another touchdown. But here's the interesting thing. Remember this? Breece Hall made it to the 1 yard line 3 other times. So, you know what I mean? He had 4 touchdowns in those 7 games. But really, he got us 7 touchdowns because I think Zach Wilson ran 1 in, Michael Carter ran a couple in. So that's the way that went with him. He'd go do all this hard work, running down the field, juking and get all the way to the 1 yard line. That's the guy that we're talking about. Now, bringing him into this year, we're really, we're watching the team take a kid's glove approach with him. Slow and steady wins the race. The rumor is that he's going to be ready for week 1, but I got to tell you, if he's not, I'd rather not see him. Yes, I want to beat the living hell out of the Bills a Monday night opening day at MetLife Stadium. I really do want to see that happen, and of course, Breece Hall is going to help if we're going to be able to achieve that. At the same time, I heard somebody say, it might have been Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7, I think he's the one who said it. I'd rather have Breece Hall the last 10 games of the season than the first 10 games. If there is any injury concern or anything like that, make sure that he's healthy. He's a 6'1", 220-pound back out of Iowa State. Iowa State, where we just used a first-round pick, grabbing Iowa State's Will McDonald. And you saw he was there at the Jet facility to greet him. They were both wearing the same clothes. How cute. They did that whole thing. And we love having him on the team. I'm really glad that the Jets drafted him. We didn't know if they would have. But man, oh man, is it nice having a potential feature back in the backfield when we have a potential number 1 wide receiver with all the types, all the supporting cast that we have. We have all these 2s and 3s and all that kind of stuff. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, even maybe Jeremy Ruckert coming on this year. It's really an exciting time to be a Jets fan. And Breece Hall is way up top of that. And there he is for episode number 120. The player profile, none other than Breece Hall, our running back. There it is. So, guys, even though there's nothing going on, we got some stuff going on, and let's talk about that in the news of the week. So, yeah, man, what's the big news? We got a big one this week. Got a big story. It trumps everything else. And that is that Ed Sheeran was in town. Ed Sheeran was here indeed. And instead of wearing what he wore last time he was here with that split Jets-Giants thing to keep the peace, he sucked it up. He picked a side. He came out with the Jets jersey in his MetLife tour date. The only issue is that it was a number 5 jersey. What did you think? I was like, Mike White. Why is he wearing a Mike White jersey? He's down. He's a Dolphin. But it's not so much a Mike White jersey as it is a Jets jersey, right? I think it said Sheeran on the back, and I ended up throwing it out at the end of the concert to some lucky Giants fan, most likely. Some girl who could care less. It's just the fact that Ed Sheeran was wearing it at the show. But he did choose the Jets, and that says something about where we are. Nobody's going to, come into town and go, all right, what's the sports team here? What is it? We got the Giants. They're good. They win a bunch. And we got this shitty team, the Jets. Well, let me get a Giants jersey, He bucked up. He made a decision. And he grabbed that Jets jersey, which is interesting, too, because we know that next year, Garrett Wilson is going to be wearing number 5. So it's kind of a Garrett Wilson jersey, a little bit of foresight. And there it is. So Ed Sheeran was here. But here's the cool little wrinkle. We didn't hear as much hubbub because it's not quite as cool to hubbub this one. But Aaron Rodgers liked this show, too. Aaron Rodgers is catching all the shows. We saw him doing the thing with Taylor Swift. Oh, yeah, baby, speak to me. He was doing all that. We didn't see so much of that with the Ed Sheeran show, but he did say it was a great show to be at. So, hey, he's catching it all, man. And good for him. Good for Aaron Rodgers, man. A lot of stuff comes through New York and New Jersey and that whole metropolitan area. You might as well get out there and enjoy it, man. He's been up there stuck in the tundra for a long time. Why not? Go ahead. I think it's cool. But so Ed Sheeran came into town. But the other thing that happened is that the Jets ended their OTA period of the offseason. Now, again, we were supposed to have this mini camp, mandatory mini camp next week or in a couple weeks. And they decided not to have it. Now, what's the first cynical thing that we all jump to? Oh, they don't, they can't sign Quinn in. They want to avoid a holdout thing and everything like that. So they canceled it just to avoid the press. Yeah. Maybe that's in there. I said it, they probably mentioned it as one of the positives. But the truth is, like Robert Saleh said, the Jets are the team, one of the two teams really, to be playing in the Hall of Fame game, which is the first game of the NFL season over there at the Hall of Fame. Now, why are the Jets playing this year? Well, it just so happens we finally got Joe Klecko in the damn Hall of Fame after 20-something years of screaming our heads off about it. He finally makes it in. The same year that we watched Darrelle Revis become a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let me tell you, man, Curtis Martin was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Kevin Mawai was a first ballot Hall of Famer. But then, man, we had a long stretch of like guys that you can consider real Jets. Not Alan Faneca, you know what I mean? Not Ronnie Lott. Like they were Jets, no doubt, right? No doubt. Like, Ed Reed, you know what I mean? Like, Art Monk. They are really associated with other teams. Kevin Mawai played the longest tenure of any team with the Jets. Like he started with Seattle, played the larger portion of his career with the Jets, and then finished for 4 or 5 years or so with the Tennessee Titans. That's when we replaced him with Nick Mangold. It is what it is, But Mawai is a Jet. Curtis Martin started his career with the Pats for the first 3 seasons. And then he came over and he finished his career with the Jets. He's a Jet. You see what I mean? Darrelle Revis, same kind of a thing. Yes, he went to the Bucs. We traded him down there. He did that 1 year. Then he went to the Pats, won a Super Bowl, and then he came. And now, don't get me wrong, I hate it. I do. I hate it. I do. But that doesn't remove the fact that he started his career with the Jets, became a great with the Jets, left for 2 years. He didn't leave. We traded him away for 2 years. And then he finished his career with the Jets. So there's a lot there. He's a Jet. He goes in the Hall as a Jet. He still associates with the Jets. He considers himself a Jet and that whole thing. So the Jets get to play the Hall of Fame game the same year that Revis and Klecko go in the Hall. Like Klecko said earlier in the offseason in 2022, if that happens, New York's going to own the Hall of Fame that year. And he's right. So because we're in that game, the Jets decided to cancel the mini camp because we got to start the training camp period a week earlier. Makes perfect sense. Doesn't it make sense? It makes sense if we just stop, right? If we just stop. I have it. That's the same thing. I don't know. I think Quinn wins. They're not going to change the whole team to avoid this contract thing. It makes sense to do it. But that said, we don't get to see nifty little passes from Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson anymore, or any of that sort of stuff until training camp. So what does that look like? It's kind of a bummer, right? We like this stuff. We like seeing these types of things. And we'll talk a little bit about what OTAs look like. I will tell you, it was scary on the last day. We saw Uzoma our tight end, limp off the field the last day of OTAs, organized team activities. It's not really what you want to see, but we saw it, and it's not that you don't want to see that. But the word is that it's a minor, it's a pull, it's a twist, it's something like that. So that's good. That's good. We had a lot of little bangs, bumps, bruises, things like that, but nothing serious so far. So we're heading into training camp as a healthy unit, which is not always the case for the Jets. By this time, we got a whole bunch of stuff to fear and ponder and try to overcompensate to correct because we lost this guy or that guy. So it's pretty good. I think the Jets are smart the way that they're doing it, and I like it. Now, going into OTAs, he was almost fine. Aaron Rodgers is fine. Lazard got kicked in the nuts. He's fine. Everybody's fine. But there were a couple standouts that we could talk about. Now, number one, Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson being last year's wide receiver one. He got 1,100 yards or so with 4 different quarterbacks, all of them kind of not so good. And he still figured out how to get 1,100 yards and really make an impact and become the offensive rookie of the year. Not too shabby. Well, now we got Aaron Rodgers, and the whole thing was like, what's that going to look like? Well, Aaron Rodgers is on record raving about him on numerous occasions, and we saw a guy just embracing the opportunity that's before him, working his ass off, looking every bit as a wide receiver one, somebody who wants to even improve from last year to this year. And that's just amazing to see. So many years we're like trying to talk up a Stevie Anderson or a David Clowney or, somebody like that. And it's just nice to see, the Jets actually have a bona fide number one style wide receiver to go with a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' stature. Sure, he can make anybody look good and all that jazz, but Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson, he doesn't have to make anybody do anything. It's just going to work if they can click. So having this OTA period together really showed that Garrett Wilson is he's on pace, man, to continue what we saw last year, and Aaron Rodgers is excited about him. As a matter of fact, Aaron Rodgers said a few things about Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. He said, we've got, at some point, possibly the best corner and the best receiver in the NFL. Not bad. It's a legit possibility for those two guys. Maybe not this upcoming year. I think Devontae Adams is in a league of his own, but those two kids are so talented. Now, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, again, it's not like just looking at these guys, yeah, they're talented and they're going to do this, that, and the other thing. No, they work to get better. They want to be the best, and that's kind of what's been missing. Even when we have great players, a lot of the time they just don't, they just are. Like, they don't want to work to get better. It's like we have this kind of weird tendency to just kind of cap out. Even Revis, he let himself get fat at the end. Why do you do that? Why do you get fat and slow at the end? Why you got to do that, Revis? So seeing Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers kind of click is a really cool thing. And Garrett Wilson stood out all OTAs, and it's great to see. Another one is Michael Clemens. Now, Michael Clemens came back bigger, stronger. I mean, did you think it was even possible? Scarier? How can this man get bigger, stronger, and scarier than he was last year? But he did. Olbert came out and said that he's up to, into the 290s. So they're talking about moving him to the inside. Michael Clemens on the inside becomes somebody that's now a quick. We're on the end. He's a bull rusher, strong and all that. But putting him at 290 in the inside, he may be able to wreak some havoc. He's clearly super crazy strong, crazy aggressive and driven and all those types of things. So adding him to that interior, I think, is interesting alongside of JFM, who they talked about moving inside as well. I think it's so exciting. Quentin Jefferson, Al Woods, obviously Quinnen, and you got Solomon Thomas, but Michael Clemens and JFM on the inside excite me. It frees up that space for the outside guys like Bryce Huff and Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald to really make some noise. And Carl Lawson, of course. Let's talk about Carl Lawson, actually. Carl Lawson came back this offseason. He looks like he's in better shape than ever. I mean, could this guy get in any better shape? Could he get stronger? What is going on? So this just might be a testament to the offseason program, this new staff, this new medical training, nutrition staff that we brought on 2 years ago, that it's starting to set in. It takes a minute for these things to happen, right? We brought in this doctor, somebody gets injured, we goes, fire the doctor, he sucks. We got to give these guys a minute. It looks like things might be starting to have the impact that we hope they have. Guys like Michael Clemens, Carl Lawson coming back looking even stronger and more fit than they did the year before. Carl Lawson came out after he took his pay cut and reworked his contract. He said, there's a million reasons why I would do that. I love being here. I want to be here. I want to play with Aaron Rodgers. And he also went out to say the goal is double-digit sacks, and it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. I think this guy is, come on. This guy's rearing to go. He's 2 years off the Achilles injury. He's rearing to go. His ass is on fire, and they're going to set him loose, and it's going to be something because this just might be the year that the Jets might get that little bit of benefit of the doubt that we never get with holding calls and penalties and things like that. We are on the shit end of that stick, man, every single year. I know every team thinks they are, but you're not. We are. You are spoiled. We get every friggin' call. The only team in the NFL not to draw a single roughing the passer penalty while all of our cornerbacks or quarterbacks were injured from getting manhandled all year. We not one rough, not one. So don't give me any baloney. We're the only team. We're alone in that stuff. So I think Carl Lawson's another guy. He was held on almost every single play. You look back at it, clotheslines, just jersey pulls. He would have wrecked the world if, number one, they called those penalties. Let the tackle know, look, you keep doing that, I'm going to call it every time. They got to stop doing it. Carl Lawson kicks your ass. And that's the way it goes. And think of that rotation with like a Carl Lawson and a Will McDonald on that side, of a Jermaine Johnson and a Bryce Huff on the other side. Oh, Quinnen Williams, Michael Clemens on the inside. Oh, I can't even take it. I can't even take it. I'm so excited for this friggin' defensive line. It's going to be good stuff, man. It's going to be good stuff. So Carl Lawson. Now, staying on the defensive line, another interesting thing. Now, I'm going to give you a tidbit that's not really out there. Okay, I'm going to give you something that's not really out there. This came from one of the beanbaggers, a little guy I like to call Finnegan. He was at the practices, and he's really connected. He goes to school with some of these draftees, and he's in the know. He's in the know. Finnegan's got some chops, and he came out at one camp, and he said something to us. So here's what he reported. Finnegan, this is for you, buddy. He says, Will McDonald caught my eye at Jets OTAs today. Early in practice, the defensive line was in a get-off drill and created a competition. Defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton appointed Jermaine Johnson and Bryce Huff as the captains. Johnson and Huff then had to pick rushers they thought would explode off the ball the fastest. To knock the ball off the back of the tackling dummy first. Jermaine Johnson picked first. He took Will McDonald. McDonald promptly beat Carl Lawson in the first one-on-one, and his team won the drill. Now he goes on to say, am I saying he's the next Myles Garrett? Of course not. But it is an indication over the last month, the first rounder has earned his teammates' respect. That's the key. That's the key. They're not making him, carry all their luggage with whipped cream in his hair and stuff like that. No, they're picking him first, and he's winning drills against studs. All right? He's winning drills against studs. They see freakish ability here. McDonald's still a bit skinny, but he's got a shot to be real good. Thank you, Finnegan, for that little inside report there. Look, man, Will McDonald, we all were confused. We didn't know what happened. What happened? We were going to take a tag. We don't know. What? We were bewildered. What's going on? We don't know. We did not understand what's happening. But with a little bit of hindsight, a little bit of research, a little bit of consideration and calming down from our previously held notions, expectations, we find out that Will McDonald was their number one guy. Yes, they liked some of the tackles and some other players, but Will McDonald was the guy they were hoping was there. He was there. They took him at 15, and they're ecstatic about getting him. And the idea of moving Michael Clemens and JFM inside, freeing that up for this rotation of these guys, all four of them are exciting to think about, man. All four of them are just exciting to. Any one of them would have been the premier guy on our defensive line 5, 6, 7 years ago. Any one of them. We got all four of them. Will McDonald's making an impact. And like Finnegan said, earning the respect of his teammates this early is a big deal. And I think that's interesting. Guys, that's the news of the week. So we're going to talk about this guy. We're going to do it. I haven't talked about him in a minute, and we're going to do it in a positive way, I think. Let's call it a constructive way. Let's talk about it in a constructive way in this week's Intelligent Gripe. Zachy Poo is backy poo. That's right. We have Zach Wilson as our number 2 quarterback, learning behind an experienced staff, an experienced quarterback, and his backup, if you call it that, Tim Boyle is his name, Jim Bob Boyle, whatever, Timmy, Biv, Jim, something like that. Tim Boyle, obviously Streveler's here too, but all these guys that can help him with this install of the new offense and also learning the nuances of the quarterback position. And Zach Wilson was asked this past week a little bit about how that experience is going. Now, Aaron Rodgers went as far this week as to kind of bust his balls a little bit, which shows that their relationship is solid. You don't do that to people that their feelings are going to get hurt, right? You know, you all have good buddies. What do you do with your good buddies? You call him ugly. You call him a loser. You make fun of him when he drops something. That's the way that it goes. That's endearment. That's a certain earned comfort level that you get. Well, they asked Aaron Rodgers about his view of Zach Wilson. He said he's been great. He said he hasn't made my life hell or anything. And that harkens back to the end of the season when they talked about the Jets bringing in another quarterback, a vet quarterback, to Zach Wilson, rubbing his face in the pain. That's what they were doing. They were rubbing his face in it. And he said, hey, they're going to do what they're going to do, but I'm going to make that guy's life a living hell or something along those lines. What's he supposed to say? So they rub his face in it. They trap him in the question. Then they make fun of him about the question, about his answer. It's one of those things, man. You got to leave this kid alone already. So we push him into the back, bring in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers and him are getting along great. They're working. There was a picture that came out last week, I'll show you, of them doing drills. And you can see, if a picture does in fact tell 1,000 words, this one tells 1,001 words. And one of those words is, I'm paying attention, coach. I'm watching. I'm learning. Those are the things that I get out of this picture. And you can see it all over Zach Wilson. He's kind of settled into this role. Like, you know what? I appreciate this reset. This is a good opportunity for me. But when he was asked about what's it like, you had a first-time staff your first 2 years in the league. Now you have this experienced staff. He said it's been great, but he used words like refreshing. Refreshing. He also said that it's easier to buy in because of their experience. He also said he's learning so much. So much. You'd think he would know, right? No, he was learning so much. He said, I learned 10 things today. So what does this tell us about this kid, Zach Wilson? Well, he could go really 2 ways here, right? A lot of Jets fans, and believe me, I know you're out there because you all made me feel like a butthole for not being in love with him before the draft. A lot of Jets fans love this guy as the Jets' number 2 pick. It was what they wanted. They were happy when he was selected, but the guy hasn't been able to pull his shit together. Fair enough. He hasn't been able to do it, and a lot of Jets fans turned on him. A little bit too far, maybe. Calling his mom, stuff like that. Maybe we shouldn't do those things, but we kind of turned on him. And I think for good reason as far as on the football field. Again, I think we went a little bit far. That all being what it is, the Jets have decided they still believe in him. They think it went south. He took a left turn. We can get him back. He's still got every single attribute that we fell in love with. He's still a super crazy young guy. His work ethic is intact. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, and again, it can go 2 ways. He can get all petty and his feelings hurt and all that kind of stuff, and be resistant and stubborn and try to make someone's life hell. Or he can say, this is an opportunity, and I'm going to learn. Zach Wilson did say, out of all the people they could have brought in here, I'm glad it's him. Speaking about Aaron Rodgers. Now, why? Well, number 1, their relationship is good. Number 2, I want to call him Garrett. Zach Wilson looked up, he was his idol. He looked up to Aaron Rodgers his whole life, right? So that's number 2. But number 3, Aaron Rodgers is taking a personal interest in this kid, to kind of change the trajectory. Hey, calm down. We're going to teach you how to play quarterback, man. We're going to teach you what to look for, how to look for it, what things mean, how to see different things. They're going to teach him that stuff. You got the arm strength. You got the magic play ability, all that sort of stuff. It's innate. You can't teach that stuff. But guess what? We can teach you how to hit a 5-yard out. We can teach you how to hit a screen pass, man. We can teach you that stuff. We can teach you how to see when it's not open and who is, and all those kinds of things, how to get to your third read. And that's what's happening. So dare I say, this OTA period, while I'm not sold or anything like that, I have been given new hope for Zach Wilson as our number 2, as a player that just might be able to come out of the dark, turn the corner when the Aaron Rodgers thing is over in 10 years, because that's how long he's staying, by the way. Once that's over, we already have Zach Wilson in the house. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to be all Aaron Rodgers up. He's going to be ready to go and take the Jets and continue this beginning of our dynasty that we're building right now. I think Zach Wilson is the man for the job, and I'm behind him, and that's the intelligent Greg. So, all right, man, I know, Zachy Poo. It's okay. He can't hurt you anymore. It's okay. But having a guy like that as your number 2, working him up and teaching him, not a bad situation to be in. Dude, let me tell you this, I'll go out on the record and say this. If the Jets figure this out and turn him around, and when he comes in, he's a different quarterback, he's an NFL starter, like top 10-ish, top 12-ish, anything like that, dude, it's going to be one of the greatest things that any NFL team has ever done. It's going to be storied. We'll be talking about it in our rocking chairs. Oh, let me tell you about the greatest development situation that ever occurred in NFL history. That's what we're going to be talking about. You'll see if it happens. So I don't know. We'll get there. I know you noticed this. Look at this awesome shirt. Look at this shirt. You see it? Can you tell which one I'm supposed to be, or is supposed to be me? Can you tell? Is it this guy? What do you think about that one? Is that me? This is the new Talking Jets t-shirt. We have the sweatshirt. We got our hats and mugs and all that kind of stuff. You can find these amazing shirts at talkingjets.com. And while you're at it, why don't you go over to Talking Jets on YouTube and give that channel a follow. That is the new home of the Talking Jets panel, and we have some fantastic other shows on deck for you that I know you're going to love. Support us over there. Plus, we're doing our 2023 ticket buy-in with Tailgate Joe as our tailgate provider, and we're all going to sit together this year. We have some really cool stuff being given to you guys, including t-shirts and on-field photos and all kinds of stuff that we're going to be able to pull together this year. We'll be telling you the game that we're going to July 1st, I believe it is. I'll tell you, we're shooting for a Monday nighter, so I hope you guys can come with us. It's going to be great. Anyway, go and support TalkingJets.com. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that now. Guys, have a great rest of your week. And as always, go Jets.